It's been 3 years since the last Christmas tree was lit in Manger Square in Bethlehem. October the 7th and the Gaza conflict darkened the lights and so much else. But the glimmers of seasonal hope are little more than that. In Gaza, the Israeli airstrikes have continued sporadically since the ceasefire deal was signed, killing over 370 Palestinians. And amidst the apocalyptic rubble of Gaza, almost all the remaining bodies of the hostages have now been handed over by a Hamas showing no signs of disarming. And then there's the sheer level of Israeli destruction and the daunting clear-up that has barely begun. And yet, despite the backdrop of this grim reality, the Israeli Prime Minister told the visiting German Chancellor that phase 2 of the Gaza peace deal was imminent.
We finished the first part, as you know. Phase 1, we're almost there. We have one more hostage deceased, Hani Gvili, a hero of Israel, to return here. And then we, very shortly, expect to move into the second phase, which is more difficult.
That phase of the ceasefire deal focuses on the governance and security mechanisms that will administer Gaza instead of Hamas. It calls for a technocratic Palestinian government overseen by a board of peace chaired by one President Trump. Hamas to disarm, surrendering both its heavy and lighter weapons. A full Israeli withdrawal from the Gaza Strip, and the deployment of an international stabilization force inside Gaza. Chancellor Merz is the first European leader to visit Israel since the official end of the war, and after the expected protestations of support, he nodded at festering disagreements.
We stood by you even as many others turned away from you during the Gaza war. But in the course of this long war, the conduct of the Israeli government also created a certain dilemma for us. Germany has to uphold Israel's security, but also the human rights and dignity that make up the core of our German constitution, especially after the Holocaust and the war.
For a German leader, the obligatory visit to the Yad Vashem Holocaust Memorial is a pilgrimage of guilt. But even as he tiptoed on the shards of history, the German Chancellor made it clear that an annexation of the West Bank was unacceptable, that a two-state solution was still the end goal, and that a return visit to Germany was very much off the cards for now. Well, earlier I spoke to the Israeli hostage negotiator Gershon Baskin, who joined me from Jerusalem. I began by asking him about Netanyahu's statement today that he believes that phase 2 of that deal was indeed imminent.
Well, I think what he's telling us is that President Trump and the United States is back on his back and pushing him into doing things that he didn't want to do, like ending the war, now moving into phase 2. Palestinians might not see it as such yet, but an international force in Gaza will prevent Israel from attacking Gaza again, as they've been doing every day since the ceasefire began.
Indeed they have, and we've reported that. But I just wondered, do we actually know at this stage what that international force is going to look like? Who are the soldiers going to be, and who will they answer to?
No, we don't know exactly. I have tried to suggest to the United States and the people who are working on this that perhaps a more defined mandate for this international force is necessary. The Americans will put it together. Trump has enough leverage on different countries to get it together. The big question is, are we going to see Turkish participation and Qatari participation that the Israelis are trying to veto? I'm not sure that the Israelis will have the power to veto it. A lot of unknowns, but they should become known in the next couple of weeks.
Do you think the Israeli government is serious about withdrawing and stopping its airstrikes in phase 2?
They are 100% not serious about it. And this is why the United States is going to be continuing to lean on Israel and make sure that they do it, while Israel kicks and screams and tries to violate the ceasefire. There's no question in my mind that people in the Israeli government wanted the Israeli breaches of the ceasefire to lead to a renewal of the war, but the United States simply wouldn't let that happen. That was told to me directly by Mr. Witkoff, and I know that Kushner was here and Rubio was here and the vice president was here, and tomorrow the U.S. UN Security Council ambassador is going to be here. We call this Bibi sitting. Everyone is coming here to babysit Bibi.
Okay, so what you're telling me here quite confidently is that you don't think that Donald Trump has got bored of this whole process. He's still very much engaged through his surrogates.
Yeah, this is the most important thing he's ever done, perhaps the most important thing he will ever do, and he's not going to let it fall apart. And Witkoff and Kushner are on this every single day dealing with it, even when they have to deal with Ukraine and Russia and other issues. They are on the phone to Netanyahu every single day to make sure that Israel stays in line.
And do you think that the visit of the German Chancellor and the kind of things that he said to Prime Minister Netanyahu are the partial rehabilitation of Prime Minister Netanyahu by the Europeans?
No, I don't think so. I think that everyone's waiting to see what's going to happen with this request for a pardon by Netanyahu. And Netanyahu's not eligible for a pardon by Israeli law because the law states that the president can pardon criminals. And Netanyahu has not been convicted yet. He's on trial and he won't admit guilt. He won't apologize. He won't take responsibility. And we just hope that the president of Israel doesn't find some fudge clause and way of granting Netanyahu a pardon without him having to step out of public life forever.
And to be clear, these are the alleged crimes of corruption that he's being charged with, right? Just finally,
Exactly.
I noticed that the German Chancellor, when asked about a visit by the Israeli Prime Minister to Germany, said, no, that wasn't even on the cards. Explain why that is the case.
Well, it can't be on the cards because Germany is obligated by international law and by the Rome Treaty that if Netanyahu does come to Germany, he has to be arrested because there's a warrant for his arrest from the International Criminal Court in The Hague, and Germany is obligated to follow that warrant and arrest Netanyahu. So it's not a good idea for him to go to Germany.
Gershon Baskin, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.